All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fairgame, the podcast. It has been a week and a few days since Eric and I have seen Adam. He is now down in Augusta, Georgia. I think an appropriate place to be this week. So, Adam, how's it going down there?
It's good. It's good. Thanks, Ben. We just got into town only about an hour or so ago. So we've done our testing and got clearance to play this week. So that's good news. So now we're talking Sunday evening and looking forward to getting out there Monday and probably 9 holes tomorrow. But it's an exciting drive coming into Augusta every year when you're going to register for the tournament.
So when you say testing, you mean COVID testing?
I mean COVID testing, yeah. It's kind of the regular thing that we're doing now on the tour, but that went smoothly. It's always a little bit nervous coming in, especially for the Masters. Like, I had COVID last year, but, you're still nervous. You just never know. I don't want to be that one guy who gets it now twice. So we've been pretty careful the last couple of weeks.
That's great. And so now you're in Augusta, but you were able to get on to Augusta a few days ago as well?
I did. So last Monday, I came up to play. And I've done that a lot in the past, but more recent years, I kind of came up on the Friday and played on the weekend. Now they have the women's amateur and drive, chip and putt. And it's, of course, you can still play, but it's a little more noisy than it used to be. So I came up really early, got to have a look at the course. It was an amazing day. I mean, couldn't ask for a nicer day. Come up, the sun was shining. There were about 5 people playing and had Augusta almost to myself. It was fantastic. So I strolled around and hit all the shots I wanted to hit and went away with a good picture in my mind of what I got to do for the next week.
So you are obviously a Masters winner. Who were the other 4 people on the course that day? You said there were 5 people out there. Are they other members, other players?
Yeah, actually, I saw Bubba Watson. He was up playing with his wife, and I think that's kind of a regular thing they do in the lead up to the Masters, which is pretty cool. Normally, I play with my dad on the Sunday before the Masters, but he's stuck in Australia, so he missed out this year, and I'm sure he's spewing about that. But there was a member and a guest, I think, up there. I might have bumped into a couple more people, but there was really no one on the course.
Yeah, and the course looked pretty good.
The course was great. Yeah, it's in really good shape. I know there have been lots of reports out there, but I can confirm for sure it's in fantastic shape. So with some good weather, we're in for a great week.
And is it exciting to get back to Augusta in April? Even though November was great, now you're back when you're supposed to be back.
Yeah,
right?
Augusta's great anytime, as you can imagine. But it is. It's a good date. The course is for sure looking better in April. They did an amazing job just getting it ready for us in November. But now, we're looking at potentially some really firm greens, even some firmer fairways, and a bit more like what we're used to. So, it's an exciting week. There's so much to take in and so much to think about. You can talk about Augusta National Golf Course all day long.
Yeah, and for those of you who are listening to us and not watching us on YouTube, what you can't see is a giant grin on Adam Scott's face right now. I mean, he's just a happy guy, I think, back home in Augusta, and obviously being able to get out there and play this week. I mean, you can tell that there's some real feeling there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think every player feels that, no doubt. Since I've won the tournament, it's even more special coming back here. Thinking in a couple of nights, it's the champions dinner, sitting up in the clubhouse with all the past champions is amazing. Just thinking about the next 3 days, I'm going to play 9 holes, 9 holes, and 9 holes, and I'm going to play with some Aussie buddies and maybe Fred couples and things like that. I'm in for a really great week. And then hopefully from Thursday, you're looking at, playing some really good tournament golf. But there's so much fun stuff going to happen the next couple of days.
So when you went out and played last Monday, what exactly were you looking to do? And then how did it go?
Yeah, it was nice to get on the course. Actually, kind of where you guys left me was right at the start of really, focusing down on what I need to do to kind of peak perform for this week. And, we talked a little bit about it with Brad, my coach. on the range, but also then, we constantly refined that. But getting out on the course and playing golf and playing the shots and kind of not spending too much time on the range worrying about the swing and just getting my head more into playing shots. So we went out early at Augusta and started trying to play those shots. Even down to like just the first tee ball, just, preparing yourself and having that first tee ball really set in your mind what you're going to do and be disciplined. And then there were some specific shots, like the second shot into 13. I hit about five or seven balls into that green off the severe right to left lie, and then kind of got around the course and went back to practice for the rest of last week, certainly focusing and imagining those kind of shots all week, whether I was on the range or on the course.
Is the balance of practicing on course versus the range when you're away from Augusta, how much what's the balance there?
It changes, but I think looking back on the last week, certainly, I feel like I've been pretty isolated from the world. I was tucked away in a place called Congaree, South Carolina, and it was just kind of golf on the back doorstep for me. And we'd go out, we'd warm up, we'd play some holes, picture some shots. It was really disciplined practice, if you would. It wasn't just slapping 400 balls a day. I really worked hard more on my routine and going into the shot and picking a shot and committing to kind of the shot I see. And I would say it's been some of the most disciplined practice for me in that sense. So maybe my total ball count was a bit lower than usual, but I felt like I worked pretty hard on my focus and my intent with each shot. So that balance was a little more on the course for me this time than I would say maybe even in years past, but I think that was needed. I just need to go and play golf this week, and if I can do that with a good discipline on, my preparation or pre-shot routine or whatever you want to call it, I think I'll be in good shape.
And out of all the different kind of categories of swings that you have, from a driver, irons, wedges, et cetera, what was kind of feeling the best, and what kind of needed the most tuning, we'll say?
Yeah, I think it's no doubt, if anyone looks at the way I've been playing, let's just say this year, my driving's been a bit average. I just haven't hit enough fairways. And so without like putting a pressure on it the last week or so, there was certainly a focus on getting a stock shot, let's call it, something I can rely on this week. That's my go-to, that, is just going to put me down there in play a lot of the time. And I think if you look at the way Augusta plays, especially over the last 10 years, the guys who drive it efficiently there do really, really well. So the driver probably is the big focus, but we kind of skirted around not putting too much pressure on it, but I've worked on that a lot. And maybe some of the swings with the irons also bled into how the driver should play as well, just getting comfortable with that. But my short game's been feeling really good, and I'm happy about that. The putting has been going very well, and I worked hard on that also. But for me to do well this week, I need to see kind of my tee game step up, and hopefully complemented with some good iron play from the fairway.
What specifically did you learn about the course on Monday? Was there anything that felt different than the last time in November, but even other years?
It was pretty soft in November, so it was good to see it a bit more how I remember it. I think the good takeaway for me was it's still the same course. There were no real surprises. You've done this plenty of times before. It's just about getting comfortable, and I think it kind of put that out of my mind. Like I wasn't going to show up today and be freaking out, like running out there Monday morning, just to check if everything's still the same, which it is. But, just took a lot of that anxiety out of last week, and I know what it is. And I can prepare a little better. But they haven't done any radical changes like move tee boxes or anything this year. Not that I could see, but, I think we're looking at seeing a Masters that everyone will be excited to see this year round. The weather looks good, so I think a bit firmer on the greens, maybe a bit firmer in the fairways, and it was actually cut down pretty tight around the greens, which was nice for my practice because I could experiment with wedging it up there or chipping or even putting up from off the green, which is a nice thing to kind of focus on. You got to get comfortable with that around Augusta early so that when you do get yourself in a tricky spot, you can not panic and get yourself out of it.
I think what's been interesting from my vantage point as just a fan, texting with my friends and Eric and others, it kind of feels like this is in some ways kind of the first major that's, I wouldn't say returning to normal because it's not normal yet. I mean, the pandemic is still very much a thing, but it is beginning to feel a little bit more like a normal kind of major, right? I mean, the US Open had one fan, our friend Andrew, in fact. Did the PGA have fans?
No. I think it was just some of the volunteers kind of stayed around at the end and got to take advantage of being out there. But no, they haven't. And you're right. It does. It almost feels like this is going back to normal. I think we're all getting excited for the way things are shaping up on the back end, hopefully, of this pandemic. But there are going to be fans this week at Augusta, which is amazing. It's great. It makes such a big difference for us playing. And there have been fans the last few weeks at the golf tournament. So, yeah, it's an exciting major, and the Masters is anyway. But coming off the back of last year, where it was pretty restricted access to a Masters, this is going to be brilliant. And I've kind of been isolated for the last week or so down there, like I was saying, and coming back out. I mean, I'm now starting to see like all the stories for the golfers shaping up this week because, of course, I'm so into my own game and everything, but then it's exciting to see what guys are saying and how they're feeling and playing. And Jordan Spieth maybe about to win a tournament as we speak. And Rory's going for the Grand Slam every time he goes to Augusta. So there's always so much stuff that shakes out the next 3 days in the media, and seeing how guys kind of deflect some of the expectation on themselves or load it up, and talk it up with and get confident. So the next 3 days are going to be fun viewing for a lot of reasons, but certainly to see how the big stories start unfolding.
So what are those big stories from your perspective?
Well, if Jordan Spieth goes on to win, that's a big story. I mean, he's been struggling for a little while. He's played well lately, and then to come back and win, and he's a previous champion here with the good vibes. That there's a guy who just loves getting hot and rolls with it. Confidence is huge with that guy, and so that'll become a big story. But I think it's always Rory coming into the Masters. This is the last leg of the Grand Slam for him, and the pressure's been on him for a long time. And not playing so well in his last start was maybe a good thing. I don't know. I don't know what he's been up to, but it's always a story. A guy going for the Grand Slam. For me, it's probably my ultimate goal in golf would be to win the Grand Slam, which kind of seems like a really lofty goal, but for me at this point, it's 3 more tournaments. It's the right 3 tournaments I've got to win, but it's such a short list of guys who have managed to do it. So that's why Rory's story with the Slam is a big one. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like all of a sudden Bryson's just a little more under the radar this time, although he won recently in Florida. But coming into the Masters last year, it was like the hype was huge around Bryson coming off winning the US Open. So that's a little different. I don't know. That's where I'm sitting. What do you guys see?
We've got Brooks coming back.
Oh yeah.
After an engagement, right, and an injury. I think that just watching him perform in the majors is always something interesting. But I think that, to your point earlier, though, playing poorly before this, would you rather play poorly or better the week before a major like this? I feel like I'd want to get my poor golf out of the way, I guess.
Yeah, a long time ago, I won the Houston Open the week before the Masters in 2007, and I played my good golf, so it didn't work out for me.
That's true.
I think just playing solid and just having some general kind of confidence and everything's under control, is a nice feeling coming into the major. And although, speaking for myself, my results haven't been stellar. Playing at the Honda, I played nicely and I felt like I was getting my game really under control, and the last weeks have been good for me practice-wise. So, I feel calm and confident where I'm at. Would I have loved to have won a couple tournaments leading up? Absolutely. I think it would be a good thing. Yeah.
And so what do the next few days look like for you? You said you're playing 9 holes and maybe another 9 holes. And then what do you do the rest of the time? Are you training? Are you just kind of taking it easy to rest up?
Yeah, it's a bit of a balance now. I've got to expect to be, playing late on the weekend. There's 7 days of golf coming up. It's kind of been pretty intense the last week. I mean, I had lunch breaks, but it was on the course a lot, on the putting green a lot, on the chipping green. I did that every day on the range. I trained every day in the gym, although they were shorter sessions, and I did some recovery stuff too. So I've had a pretty long week, and 9 holes sounds pretty appealing tomorrow. I'll go out in the afternoon and play 9 and just, kind of get my feet wet, get comfortable out there, make sure that everything I've been working on feels okay. And then I'll probably do 9 Tuesday and 9 Wednesday also. I think it's kind of a measured approach. The practice rounds can start dragging out in 5.5 hours. We have this slow play stigma with professional golf, and it's true. It takes us a long time to get around. So, that's wearing, and you're out there 5.5 hours. You can't hit endless balls on every hole. So you're hitting maybe 40 or 60 golf shots in 5.5 hours. It's, at some point it's not productive if you're doing it every day. So 9 holes is kind of good. It's 2.5 hours. And then you've got time, spend an hour putting, spend an hour chipping, go to the range, depending on what you want to do, and try and get your feet up on the couch for a couple hours in the afternoon. And I'm definitely partial to an afternoon nap as well. I don't fear that.
Adam's, you heard it here first. Adam Scott's a nap guy. Yeah, he's a nap guy.
So Adam, you're playing with, you said some Aussie buddies. So, we played a hole together, a few holes together. You played with Ben. Those are very social rounds. Can you kind of talk like what those 9 holes will be like, how social it is versus how, much you're prepping in terms of for Thursday?
They're pretty social. I mean, I have a pretty good level of comfort with Augusta, and I enjoy being out there, and I'm certainly focused on doing what I want to do. But I just kind of gauge where the other guys are at. If one of them throws out, "Hey, do you want to play a little match for 9?" Then I know he's pretty relaxed and he wants to have a chat and enjoy the 9 holes out there. If he's not, and he's kind of ready to hit 3 or 4 balls on every shot, there's no match, and he's obviously working on something. But I think most guys, if they're up for a game, they're pretty happy to have a chat and enjoy the moment out there, and even maybe have a match and part ways with a little cash.
And then what about like meals? Is this like kind of coming back the first week back at school, after freshman year, where like you see all your buddies again and it's really fun and kind of jovial? Or is it like, this is competition mode, once 5 o'clock hits, everyone goes back to their respective homes and starts to do their own regime? It
is. Well, one of the neat things is the champions locker room at Augusta and during the Masters week, which is upstairs in the clubhouse. And it's always fun going back up there at the end of the day and see who's hanging around, and maybe not necessarily sitting down for meals, although lunch often is had at the club. But definitely, if someone's sitting around, I'll definitely have a drink of any kind with them up there. I mean, you don't get that chance so much. And, I think that's one of the fun things. But, it is pretty... Guys are running pretty tight ships these days. It is a major week. You do have to conserve your energy. And, one good thing for me this week is I've had the same chef at majors for about 10 years, and because of the pandemic, he didn't come out last year, but he's back. He's back this week, so I'm stoked on that. Good food coming my way this week at home, and it it feels a little bit this week with him coming back and the old routines in the house. It feels a bit exciting, actually.
It seems like it. I mean, you really do seem like you're in great spirits, and it feels good.
Well, it's all this Augusta talk, it's such a positive thing generally for me, being a champion, getting to play the Masters, playing the course, and all that kind of stuff. It is a fun thing for me to talk about. I probably don't do it enough, but I got to take advantage of it while this time of year rolls around.
So a question that I'm sure many people are curious about, like what is the deal with the Champions locker room? Can you describe it to us, or is that like against all Augusta rules?
No. Actually, it was fairly small until a few years ago. I mean, it was pretty tight quarters up there. It's tight. There's about 34 living past champions, I believe. And we all share lockers, so it's not a huge locker room.
Who do you share with?
I share with Gary Player, which is amazing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It is. It's just amazing. Yeah. But it's kind of like that up there. Like if you're sharing with someone, that other guy is a legend, basically. Yeah. There isn't a bad one. So that's always fun because there's always some interaction with him. But a few years ago, the club renovated the Champions Room and expanded it out. And there's about 3 or 4 lunch tables in there now, in the middle with the lockers kind of spread around the outside. There's actually a memorabilia cabinet which always has the current champions information, details, a club that he used, and a replica trophy, things like that, which is neat. But it's a nice little vibe. I think the coolest thing about it, well, there's lots of cool things about it, but the door into the Champions Room is like literally right behind the roundabout at the front of the clubhouse. It's right upstairs from the front door of the clubhouse, and a lot of the past champions sit out on that veranda and can watch everything happening coming into the club, and it's a really neat spot.
Is there a special menu in the Champions locker room?
There's no special menu. I think you can pretty much ask for whatever you like at the club. I mean, they're quite hospitable. They're gonna knock up whatever you need, whether it's drinks or food. But it's a good hang, as you know, Ben, because
yeah, that I wasn't going to reveal that to our hundreds of thousands of listeners that I've been there, but yes, it is an amazing hang. I mean, that was like peak moment of my life for sure.
Well, I remember getting the text message, of, hey, guess where I'm at? Oh, don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah.
No, it's fun. It's always fun times up there for sure. I mean, it's incredible to think about. I'll be that guy. They're like, okay, Adam, you've got to stop playing the Masters. You're too old. You got to go now. Be hanging around there for a long time.
And so, I mean, that brings up an interesting point. There's quite a few guys that are, on the Champions Tour that are a little bit older that are still playing, past champions that are still playing in the tournament or will play in the tournament this week. Are you friendly with many of them? Do you have an idea of how they kind of view it? I mean, is it really just kind of a way to celebrate past achievements, or is this something that they're really striving for success in this year's tournament?
I think everyone's at a different place with it. I really feel like it's great. You should be allowed to play until you really can't, until they feel like, okay, you need to not play now. But as long as they're not taking a spot from, a potentially, a contending kind of player, I think it's fine. And the field seems small enough that that's never really the case. They always have a good field, albeit a smaller field in the major at the Masters. But I look at a guy like Fred Couples, and he's 61 or 62, and I mean he legitimately has a shot of playing the weekend. Bernard Langer did it last year, and I know it'd mean the world to Freddie to play the weekend another time. I think he has the longest consecutive cuts made at the Masters streak, like 23 in a row, something crazy like that. So, he has such a long history to be. So here's a guy who is still playing Champions Tour golf, but desperately tuning up for this week. You know, he's taking it serious still too, as much as he enjoys it.
He's got the game for it, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, he really does. I mean, in that bad back and all, he still cranks it out there. He's an incredible player. So he might. And then another good buddy of mine is Trevor Immelman, who's only a year older than me, but he's moved into TV work now, and he's been promoted up to the 15th tower, I believe, at CBS there. And you know, that's a real honor to get that if you're in television. And his career's transitioned over, and I don't think he's going to play the Masters this year. I hope he's going to play many more in the future, but you know, he's now kind of got his focus in television, and he still gets to come up and enjoy the Champions Dinner and be around all week, and he goes to talk about all of our struggles on the golf course. But you know, here's a guy who's pretty young, and he's not going to play this year, but I'm going to convince him to play a few more in the future.
Come back, do a reunion tour.
Absolutely, yeah.
So by the time this episode airs, Adam, you will actually be on the course. This episode will air on Thursday. Today is Sunday, just 4 days before the first round of the Masters. And you were telling us earlier on about a new kind of shot shape that you're going to be trying out at Augusta. So while people are listening to this, they might actually be able to watch you hit this new shot shape out there on the course. So can you kind of go into that a little bit?
Well, I haven't invented a new shot. It's just
for you, yeah.
something that's a little bit more reliable for me, probably off the tee, and certainly had a lot of success with it in the past, even at the Masters in 13. And I think there's a little bit of a myth out there about you've got to draw the ball around Augusta National. I mean, and I think guys like Nicklaus and Faldo, who traditionally did not draw the golf ball, have a lot of success there. And not that I got swayed into trying to draw the ball, but I certainly have been kind of going for a little more launch lately. And I think bringing the flight back down, and I kind of have this picture in my mind of playing the first hole and aiming hard up the left edge and teeing the driver really low and kind of squeezing it into the fairway. And, you know, the picture kind of looks like when Dustin Johnson hits a driver, because I like the way he swings it. And I'm sure tons of people listening like the way he swings it. But he still hits it fairly high, and he hits it long too. But he definitely has like that straight to just falling to the right look. And and there you go. There's another guy who's straight to falling to the right, and he just won the Masters last November. Right. You know, so there's this myth of like drawing it and bombing it around Augusta. I don't think you just got to be really efficient with the driver. So I'm kind of looking up that left side of the first and picturing this thing peeling off the edge into the middle of the fairway. So let's see if that's what you guys are watching as you listen to me tell you that's what I'm trying to do. Of course, there's some holes where like the second, you know, that's not the shot you're going to hit, because it's going to finish in the right bunker. But there are a lot of holes where I think that's really an effective play, where you got to be coming in from the fairway.